I can't hear you if you're talking. Are we live, T-Shroom? And you're just leaving me out to dry? So there's that like 10 seconds of awkward pauses right there. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Investing Bros live show. We will have a new intro coming very, very soon. But until then, you guys get to just open up and see probably about 10 seconds of me just staring into the abyss, not knowing what is happening. And that was all a part of the plan. Guys, we got a lot to talk about in the show today because crypto, right this second on smaller time frames, is moving to the downside, but we are still pumping. We still have some targets up above us that we are looking at. But the question is there anything down below? Are we starting the great bull run of 2024 that will be forever remembered as the beginning of the most explosive bull market? Or do we still have further room to the downside? Today, we're going to be talking a lot more about some alts that have had some explosive movements this last week. You guys see some of those in the title. Towards the end of the show, we're welcome to do any Q&A and any technical analysis you guys want us to do. So make sure to stick around for the entire video. If you're watching this back afterwards, comment right below spaghetti, just so we know you guys are staying tuned, you're doing things. Type spaghetti down below in the comments. You can put in chat as well if you guys are live. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of this stream, I am joined by my amazing co-host who does not tell me when we're live, but rather lets me stare into the abyss in embarrassment. His name is T-Shroom. He's down in Gainesville, Florida. T-Shroom, how are you feeling today?
Better than I deserve, Tim. I appreciate you hanging with me. We will debrief after the show,
so just in case you thought I could hear you, I did not. If you were saying to me 3, 2, 1, I did not hear you. It is not coming through.
Yes. So the old mute button was pressed. It happens.
The old mute button, the old classic. Well, it's back to the good old days of Investing Bros with technical difficulties. Yeah. Some of our best content has come under the abyss of technical difficulties, T-Shroom.
Indeed.
But speaking of difficulties, sometimes, we have our quote of the day and it's difficult to understand. Mm-hmm. Other times it's easy to understand. What do you have for us today with our quote of the day?
All right, we got a good one today, Tim.
Okay.
Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. That, of course, is from Martin Luther King Jr. right there.
Come on.
Gotta love it.
Some of you thought that you were going to get into this stream. We're just talking about crypto, but then you got some real goodness from old MLK Jr., and that's so true. To be fair, there's a lot of things that people almost act like they can root it out. I mean, this concept of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Don't get me wrong. There is a place for vengeance. There's a place for retaliation. But if we want to see good in this world, MLK has it exactly right. You don't get rid of darkness by introducing more darkness. Now you just have darkness squared. And you don't get rid of evil by introducing more evil. Now you have evil squared. Someone has to break the trend, break the change, and bring something positive despite the fact that all the things are happening that are negative, and that's what brings goodness. You don't get rid of bear candles by introducing more bear candles is ultimately what the crypto people need to hear today. You get it by bringing in bull candles, and that is what we have been seeing for the last couple of days and the last week here in the crypto space. Before we jump into the news and cover some of those details, let's take a very quick look, T-Shroom, at the charts. Take a look at what is happening. You guys know our charts are always brought to you guys by ALGO, a partner of the channel. Check them out. We have been calling this rally pretty much down to the wire. Like, we're getting a tit for tat here, and a lot of that has to do with the signals on ALGO. So if you are a trader, guess what, guys? You will make your money back and then some within the first couple of trades with ALGO. Go check them out today. Link in the description down below. You can get all the way up to almost 50% off, depending on what package you sign for with the Investing Bros. We are very much here on the hourly chart, still under the guise of bullishness. Even though we've had this X come in here more recently, the candles are still green. We're still under take profit, but that's just the hourly chart. When we start to move up towards the 4-hour, guys, we still have further room to the upside. Now, I made a video about this morning. I'm still bullish on Bitcoin, and we're going to talk about altcoins later on in the show. I'm going to start off the technical analysis section after the news, talking about the likes of Solana, SUI, AVAX. If we get into some others, you guys can request some of the coins as well. But I want you to continue to keep your eyes on the value area high right here, You guys can see this marked by my purple line, but I'll pull up my fixed range volume for you just in case you're newer here, you're just joining. We have our value area high coming in right here at our golden pocket. Also, Lux Algo is telling us this is a great spot for some resistance into our red reversal cloud and our take profit logo right here. I'm going to be curious to see on the 4-hour, no order blocks in that area, but you'll also see here on the 4-hour chart when we pull up our oscillators, we still have room to the upside. Yes, we just got a reversal triangle. Yes, we've had some green waves in our RSI telling us we're a little overbought right now, but we're not screaming that we are massively overbought. We still see the money flow going positive on the 4-hour, and we see excessive buyers come in. If these buyers leave the space, there's a chance that we see a little bit of a cool-off here. But everything, despite the fact that there are small signals signaling reversal, there still is some bullishness left in the space on the short term. We're going to come back and do some more TA here later on in the show. But if you guys are excited so far about what you're seeing, if you bought some Bitcoin within the last 7 days, go ahead and smash that like button right now. I'm going to throw it over to T Shroom, and we're dive into some of the hard-hitting news today and have some discussion about what the future looks like. T Shroom, what do you? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
That's
what
okay. It sounds like you were in control of that transition. And,
I try.
It was good. I thought it was pretty good. So
sometimes you just got to take transitions. And you got to manhandle them, and even if your co-host tries to speak through, you just keep pushing in there because the co-host interjecting is like darkness, and if I had just given up, then that's like more darkness.
Exactly.
But I had to bring in the light, and just push on through.
I love it. Tim, we missed you yesterday, man. It was
I miss you guys. Yes. Thank you so much for when you have a toddler, I was trying to explain to my wife because she's like, why are we getting sick all the time? I was like, well, it's because of this freaking germ furnace that we have right here where like little germs would never get me or her. But this little guy, he's just like a magnet for them. And then his body does a great job of cooking and producing a lot more of them. And those of you guys who are parents out there, I know you guys can relate. I was always told you get sick a lot when you have kids, but I'm learning the hard way. Kids are little germ furnaces.
Absolutely. Well, Tim, let's go ahead and dive on into the news.
Let's do it.
I love that phrase, germ furnace. That's good.
I don't know if it's the correct way of saying it. It just sounds good,
It definitely sounds good. I can definitely agree with that. Let's go ahead and jump on into it here. We're going to start off with a story that I covered this morning on the 9 a.m. show, but I would be remiss if I didn't bring it to our 3 p.m. bros as well. The Dogecoin network is witnessing a remarkable surge in growth, with new addresses increasing by a staggering 1,100% over the past week. That's adding 247,000 new Doge addresses. Are they going to buy? Certainly is not reflected on the charts quite yet, but that is a lot of new addresses, Tim. So I'll be keeping my eye on Doge, and it is a meme coin that I hold for sure, and for one reason only, and that his name is Elon Musk. All right, let's move on into some breaking news. This is actually pretty big here, guys. So the SEC is likely to approve spot Ethereum ETFs on May 23rd. That's going to be the big date for the Ethereum spot ETF views.
Okay.
And Standard Chartered Bank is the one who's bringing this to us, right? They're the ones predicting this. And so far, Standard Chartered has a pretty good track record. You probably recognize their logo there. And let's go dive into a couple of the details here. This is their perspective, their quotation from one of their analysts named Kendrick. So Geoffrey Kendrick said, "We expect pending applications for the ETH US spot ETF to be approved on May 23rd, the final deadline for the first of the ETFs under consideration, the equivalent date to January 10th for the Bitcoin ETFs." So he's the head of Standard Chartered's Forex and Digital Assets Research, and he wrote a report on Tuesday, and that's where these quotations are coming from, right? If ETH prices perform similarly to how Bitcoin prices performed in the lead up to the Bitcoin ETF approval, ETH could trade as high as 4,000 by that deadline for the SEC to go ahead and do it. Now, that is quite an increase. But he doesn't stop there. He's got more to say. Grayscale also has an ETH trust that it wants to turn into an ETF. So it's a similar setup here. So denial of application would likely lead to another appeal by Grayscale. He said, adding that we see no fundamental reason for the SEC to view ETH differently than the CME already does. So, Tim, I've been on record as saying that I do think that ETH has less of a chance of getting approved, and we actually have a bet. We have a bet. I'll remind our viewers, remind the bros, that Tim and I have a bet. I don't think that Gary Gensler will be voting on the spot Bitcoin ETF. I still have plenty of time for that to be right. I mean, May 23rd is quite a ways away.
Let's make sure we word this bet correctly, because there's some loopholes in bets. I've learned the hard way with other bets I've made. The bet is T Shroom. Let's just introduce the conversation. T Shroom says something along the lines of, I don't think Gary Gensler is going to be around for the Ethereum ETF launch. So that's the bet right there. Is Gary Gensler still an SEC chairman when we see the ETH ETF get approved? If he has been fired or has quit or anything, he is no longer part of the SEC, then T-Shroom will get himself his second stake of 2024. But if he is still there, now we'll have the return of the stakes, where T-Shroom buys me a Longhorn steak. I don't know if it's gonna be Longhorn. I might choose a different restaurant, but we'll keep it to $35. We won't get ridiculous with it, you know.
Yes, that is the bet. That Gary Gensler will not be voting on the spot Bitcoin ETF.
Yes,
because he is fired. I will add, it's not because he got sick that
or
day.
he quit. I'll give you if he quits, if he
Yeah.
resigns, we'll count that. You know, it's just he's no longer part of the SEC.
Absolutely, I like it.
Yeah.
We've got another story here, Tim.
Okay.
Actually, before we do that, we didn't even dive into the details. So, breaking news. I mean, that Standard Chartered prediction. Do you tend to agree? Do you think there's a chance that the SEC would approve the spot Ethereum ETF before May 23rd, which seems like the final deadline? Do you think that's a possibility at all, or do you think they're going to do the same thing they did with Bitcoin, just wait till the last minute?
Well, yeah, they'll wait to the last minute. So that's why I think that potentially the waiting as long as possible until May. Is that where they owe May is when they owe an answer, or that's just the next window or a major window?
You know, that date came from James Seyfried. I just assume that that's the last deadline, right? That can't be, they can't delay it anymore. That's kind of what I'm tracking.
I would be very surprised if they jumped the gun with Ethereum. I think they just take what they would call the normal precautions. What we know is just them dragging their feet. They'll take as long as they can without a judge coming and slapping them on the face. But I like the logic that is talked about in this story, and that is the Bitcoin ETF got the ball rolling. And as long as the language is the same and you just replace the word Bitcoin with Ethereum, it's going to be hard for the SEC not to approve it because they've just set a standard. And so now the question becomes, these are the only thing I think left that could stop the Ethereum ETF. Is Ethereum a security? Gary Gensler has not answered this question directly. Whether he's purposely not answering it because he's favoring Ethereum over other cryptocurrencies, or whether he's leaving it open because he knew he would need to play this card down the road. That's the last straw. Like, that is the only argument for them delaying the Ethereum ETF past May, if that is the deadline for them giving an answer, because otherwise they've literally gone against their own principle and their own standard of what qualifies for a crypto ETF. And so that part I definitely agree with. And if it's true that May is the last date, then yes, I will go on record and say I believe that we will see an Ethereum ETF probably in that deadline, that last second. Remember the Bitcoin ETF, we didn't see it on the 9th or the 8th or the 7th. We saw it on the 10th get approved. We saw it fake approved on the 9th. Same thing. Don't be surprised till we get to the last day of the approval window for Ethereum ETF. That's when we get an approval.
Yeah. Now, do you think that there's going to be a fake tweet that slips through one of the SEC's Twitter accounts?
I'll tell you what. If he still has his job and they get hacked again, ain't no way Gary Gensler survives a second hacking of the SEC Twitter. Not going to happen. Just not going to happen. So that's what your best bet here, T-Shroom, is that Twitter gets hacked again, or the SEC's Twitter gets hacked.
And that's why I even had this bet going in the first place with you, Tim, is that he was already getting threats from Congress to fire him, right, to remove him. And then he drops the ball like 2 or 3 times during the ETF kind of reveal, the approval process for Bitcoin. And I just don't know how he keeps his job after this, you know.
Well, remember, they got to prove that he's broken the law or failed to do his job in some significant way, or the president removes him. I don't see Biden removing him, and I don't see them being able to get all the evidence in place and convict him. So like the best bet of him stepping down in the best bet of him not being in place in 2024 would probably be he resigns himself. Doesn't mean Congress likes him. Doesn't mean Congress won't use all of 2024 to stack the evidence to get rid of him in 2025. But I don't see him. I don't see like that's just a long procedure. I would imagine. Same as like if you try to get rid of any other massive position in politics. If you try to impeach the president, I mean, you can impeach the president and go put that before Congress, and then there's this whole process that happens. It takes time. It takes lawyers. It takes a lot of pretty much stupid judicial proceedings to occur. I just don't see that happening between now and May.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see. Let's move on. I've got another story here about Solana. Solana at 105 has analysts bullish. Can you believe it? Somebody's bullish on Solana. It will converge on Ethereum faster than most believe.
Here we go. The Ethereum flip. It's coming back up. Is Solana going to flip Ethereum?
So that quotation from the title comes from this tweet from Santiago R. Santos. He said, Solana is going through what Ethereum did during the ICO boom. But unlike back then, where it was only white papers, here Solana has applications seeing meaningful usage and growth. Among the many reasons I believe that Solana will converge on Ethereum faster than most believe. So that is a pretty powerful statement there, Tim. Do you think that there's real credence to this? Do you think that it's really possible for essentially the flippening to happen? I believe that's what is being implied here with the use of the term
that's
converge.
what converge. Well, obviously, the word itself would imply we're just talking about it getting closer, and it's every single day we're getting closer and closer as long as candles are green or bullish. But let's just take a look at this real quick. Market cap for Ethereum still sitting almost to 300 billion, but $286 billion. Solana, they've made moves. They're the number 4 coin if you don't include Tether, a stable coin. But we're still looking down here at 45 billion. So, quick math, that's like 1/6. So like 8, what is that? Like below 20%. It's got less than 20% of the market cap that Ethereum does. I would almost make the guess if they can get within a third, which, by the way, is kind of the predictions we put out here. Price prediction we made for the bull market, I believe we're going to see Ethereum somewhere in the range of $1.5 to $2 trillion in market cap. I believe we're going to see Solana, I think low end 300 billion, but I think high end you're pushing 500 to 600 billion. That pulls it close to or within a third, rather than at the moment they're a sixth of the market cap. So convergence, yes. Are they going to get closer to Ethereum's market cap? The answer is yes. But if we're saying we're going to see a full-on flippening Solana over Ethereum, I'm sorry, Solana lovers. You're not there yet. The Ethereum ecosystem is just so far advanced in what they can do. That is not something that Solana does within the next 2 years. 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. All right, now you're giving it some time for people to kind of ditch Ethereum and move over. But I just don't see that happening here in 2 years, T-Shirt. And what about you?
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. I think that these analysts are getting a little ahead of their skis. I think that Solana is going to do really well, right? But it's Ethereum, right? It's the other name in crypto that people know, like, and trust, right? And but when I mean people know, I mean not you and me, not folks who've stuck around in the bear market. I mean like your cousin, right? Your uncle, your employer, your kids, whatever it is that they think they know something about crypto. They know at least 2 words: Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Now they're going to spend more time as time goes on, and they're going to do more research. And yeah, they may be compelled to buy more Solana than Ethereum because price go up more, right? However, I think initially, especially this year, I just think Ethereum is going to be doing a lot of up and to the right, and Solana will do the same, but I just don't see it eclipsing in market.
Get ready,
cap.
everybody. Get ready for that Ethereum update coming here within the next month or two. We have a comment from one of the hardest names I've ever seen to pronounce, but I'm going to take a sting at it.
Don't do it, Tim.
Just watch, T-Shirt, and let's see if I get close. Sid, just
That was good.
Let me know if I got that correct.
That was a good shot.
he did ask, any price prediction? Can Solana get to $150 by this week? And the long answer of that is no. And the short answer of that is, what's next, T-Shroom?
What's next is a tweet here from Caleb Franzen. Who better to cover the jobs numbers than Caleb? He said, the same thing is happening in Q4 22 and Q1 2023. Tech layoffs made headlines, but we never saw follow through in any of the labor market data. Don't be fooled by headlines, do the work, and analyze data. So, yes, there has been a lot of tech layoffs, but that doesn't necessarily translate into, the hordes of employers such as like the Home Depots and the Walmarts, right? And then just like accounting companies and all of these like gigantic employers. Yeah, you've heard a lot about tech layoffs, but they don't employ very many people. And then Ben Castleman said, some high-profile layoffs in tech and media have gotten a lot of attention lately, but in aggregate, layoffs remain very low and aren't really rising. So you can see here that this is the layoffs and discharges per month. You notice a big spike. Had to do with a little bit of a cough that was going around. And then this one, the layoffs and discharges per month, right, is mostly flat, right? So it's something to consider. And it's not like people are screaming and shouting about the jobs data today. It's really been very muted. The market is mostly just anticipating the Fed announcement tomorrow and maybe a little bit of that Evergrande data. But ultimately, it's still up and to the right. And so, what do you think about this? Is the job numbers ringing any bells for you, Tim?
No, and we're in an election year. You're not going to see, barring... this could get me in a lot of trouble here, T-Shroom.
Uh-oh.
Barring some sort of disease, whether it's natural or man-made, that takes over the world and shuts the entire economy down, unless that happens in an election year, you're not going to see the economy take massive hits. Obviously, whoever the president is going to ensure that they're enacting policies that would make their election look as favorable as possible within their control. So we're not going to see job numbers struggle this year. We're going to see, if really bad stuff happens, we're going to see just massive money printing, in which case all the more reason for crypto go boom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're going to prop up economy numbers to the best of their ability all the way through November. And then I think depending upon the results of said election, then we'll see maybe a response from the economy after that.
Yeah. Yeah, in case you weren't tracking at home, America does have an election coming up. So it is going to continue to be an issue. It's going to continue to be covering the headlines, covering the media sources. Now, Tim, we usually don't do this, but there was a
lot of things we usually don't do. But
there was a would you rather from the Bitcoin therapist that I could just not pass up. So, Tim, I have to ask, would you rather have $5 million tomorrow or 0.01 Bitcoin every day for 10 years? And there's a stipulation down at the bottom. If you choose the cash, you can never buy Bitcoin again.
Yeah. So I saw this. I don't know if you tagged me in it or what, but I comment on this. I think I actually reposted this on Twitter. The short answer is, without going too much into the math, guys, it is so easy to say I'll take the 0.01 Bitcoin. Because even right now, right? So 1/100th of 43, we're still talking about $400 a day. But then, we're talking about, in the future, we're getting up over 100K. Now we're talking about like $1,000 a day. And you keep moving this on and on and on as we go up and up and up and up. Ultimately, give me that Bitcoin, because not only am I purchasing at those low levels, and I get to those higher levels, like what I purchase now, it's pretty much like, what is Bitcoin's price going to be at in 10 years times 3,650 days. I have a sneaky suspicion here, T-Shroom, that's going to be well higher than $5 million. And the fact that people are saying $5 million instead and you can't buy Bitcoin still shows you that, and the reason why that's a legitimate question is because some people will choose that. It still shows you how new we are and how young the actual adoption of Bitcoin is. People do not fully understand its long-term perspective of wealth.
All right,
so
Tim.
To us crypto people, this is where the good outdoes the bad. The light goes to darkness, T-Shroom. You're trying to cut me off, but I'm just kidding. This is a no-brainer. If you own Bitcoin, this is a no-brainer. If you own crypto, this is a no-brainer. you're going to continue to buy Bitcoin. But there are people that will say $5 million.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's the other side of it, right? Which is there's two ways that you could do this and be sneaky and still follow the rules here. You could take the $5 million, right? Take the $5 million cash and then just buy Chainlink, right?
Okay,
and you
that
probably
wasn't
have
the question. That wasn't the question on the
Or
docket. I hear what you're saying.
You could take the $5 million
Sneaky.
and you could buy a Bitcoin ETF, right?
It's a sneaky little workaround, T-Shroom, and I get it. I get why you're doing it. It makes sense. But
all
I'm
right,
still,
Tim.
taking the other.
All right, so we can go ahead and get into the charts, but before we do, I've got the factoid of the day.
All right.
So let's go ahead and jump on into that. We can make it pretty quick. The question of the day is, where was Martin Luther King born? What was the state that he was born in? And your choices are Atlanta, Georgia, Nashville, Tennessee, or Charlotte, North Carolina. What is the answer here, Tim?
You know what's crazy is my brain said it's either Georgia or North Carolina. So it's not Tennessee. I think I can rule out B pretty effectively. I think it's Georgia, though. I'm pretty sure it's Georgia. There is a chance. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm going to go with Georgia. I'm going to go with Atlanta, Georgia. I'm interested to see what the chat says because this is a piece of trivia I should know.
Atlanta, Georgia,
All right,
Tim.
Thank goodness. Goodness gracious. That was almost bad. I'm very glad, though. That's a streak. I think that's 3 in a row. 3 in a row for me on these factoids of the day. Without me yesterday. Yeah. Well, again, there's a chance. You know, you could have been joining Charlotte. Did you do a factoid of the day yesterday when you had no one to guess?
I did. So I asked the question.
Don't tell me the answer. Ask me the question. Let's see if I would have gotten yesterday's correct.
Well, the factoid of the day, I didn't actually say it live. I said it before I went live, and I asked myself, am I about to go live? And then I answered the factoid with my actions. So would you have guessed that, Tim?
I would have guessed yes, you went live. Seeing as that there was a recording of it. It's usually good evidence to say that you did. But, all right, so that's 4 in a row for me. Good. Thank you for that, T-shirt.
Excellent.
Of course, guys, that's always the fun bit we have in the middle of the show as we're transitioning from the news back into the charts. That question is brought to you guys by Decrypted.tax. It is going into tax season, ladies and gentlemen. T-Shroom, do you enjoy taxes?
I do not enjoy them, Tim.
Do you have to pay them, though?
I do, and I will.
Yes. And if you're an American, you have to pay them as well. I don't know about other countries. The only country that matters is America. I'm just kidding.
Right.
That's too mean. But in America, we pay taxes, whether we like to or not. And you're going to want someone, especially if you've been trading crypto. It's a little messy when you trade crypto. You want someone who knows what they're doing. Well, Ernest over at Decrypted.tax and his entire team are phenomenal. And here's the kicker. Not only do you get 25% off when you use our link, as it says right there, bada boom, check out link down below, you also get the privilege of working with not just a CPA, but a tax attorney. So if Uncle Sam and the IRS come after you saying that you skimped them on your money, well, now all of a sudden you have a tax attorney who has never lost a single case representing you. But here's the other kicker. Even if you're not sure if you want to use him or not, click on the link. Go sign up for a 60-minute call with him, absolutely free. Ask him all the crypto tax questions that your heart desires, and then decide if you want to use it or not. But at least you had a 60-minute conversation with one of the smartest crypto tax people there is in the world. So take advantage of that. Click on the link down below. Let's go back over into charts where Bitcoin is moving up here, guys. 43,700, of course. The top of this most recent move is looking a little closer towards 43.8, but we're making a nice little push. But guess what, guys? We'll talk about Bitcoin later if you guys ask about it. Today, I want to talk about the alts. Now, when you come over here, there's been a couple of alts in the last week that have really caught my attention and the attention of other people here in the Investing Bros community. One of them, Solana, up almost 30%. In fact, I think it has been up 30%. It's just dipped down a little bit here in the last couple of hours. But you have Solana up almost 30%, Avalanche up 25%, and then one of the ones that we're kind of sitting here deciding, is this going to be a good project moving forward? Eric Wallen believes so, but SUI is another one that has caught our eye. Of course, we had a trade on Friday that went live where we shorted SUI and made 114% returns, and that giveaway went to bedridden, so that's cool things. But these altcoins have been on a little bit of a tear over the last week. The question we have to examine, is the rally just starting for these altcoins, or is it coming to a close? And I'll tell you guys right now, we'll look at other altcoins during Q&A if you guys want to. I'm going to start by focusing on these three coins, but I want you to know a large portion of the alt space is going to look very similar to these. So continue to do your own technical analysis. That's one of the cool things. If you like how I do TA and you like the tools that I use, you guys can go get them for yourself and apply this TA to your favorite altcoins to trade them effectively. When it comes to Solana, for example, let's take a look here at the 4-hour chart. I think there's still a chance we have further room to the upside. In fact, the level I'm kind of keeping my eye on right here is going to be somewhere back up here towards this order block, back up above 110. I think around 110 could be interesting here as well, but keep your eyes on that level. Let's check in with another one. I love using this resource called High Block to look at my different levels for price action. Let's take a look. What am I looking at? Solana. Let's look at the Solana 7-day. We'll start off, and then we'll take a look at a couple other time frames here. All right, so Solana 7-day. Oh, well, we're going to have to jump to one of my thoughts. I was going to let you guys know there's absolutely price action below us that can happen. On the 7-day, you can see the most attractive level with the most amount of liquidations is all the way down at $85. We have not been down to $85 since back here in, was that January 20? Okay, well, it's not that long ago. January 25th? Let's see. When did we get to 85? Oh, yeah, right back here, January 23rd. So we set up a lot of long liquidations down at that level. Keep an eye on that. I'll go back here in a little bit and take a look at longer time frames. Let's take a look at the 12-hour here, see what we got going on up above us. Would you look at that? Guys, 110, even though we have a lot of liquidations right here above us towards 107, 108, it kind of starts running dry. Where? At about 110. Where does it start to pick back up at? Oh, look at that. Around 113, 114, and up here 115. This is all absolutely doable. We come back over here to the charts. What are we looking at? That 115 is the top order block we are seeing here on the 4-hour chart. You got that with the price action concepts here with Lux ALGO. We also see on the 4-hour chart that is kind of right in there at the top level of the take profit signal, as well as being in the red reversal. Then we pull up our oscillators here. And again, like we talked about, I think we saw this with Bitcoin. But yes, we're seeing a red reversal. And we just actually printed here on the 4-hour chart a gray momentum dot. But what I love that I'm seeing here is we're not necessarily crazy overextended. Again, other times we've actually called tops. You can see fat levels of this green marker on the RSI multi-length saying that we're overbought. Right now, we're sitting at a measly 54%. And that money flow is still going to the upside, well above the threshold. The buyers, excessive buyers, are still coming in. What does this communicate to me? Again, I've talked about this on the show before, but the cool thing about this indicator, that is massively bullish when those buyers are flowing in, which they're currently doing. Now, when it does top out and it turns over, that's when you can see things potentially get ugly. However, at the moment here on the 4-hour chart, we're still signaling that although we're testing the waters of being overbought, we still have green momentum. We still have the money flow going positive. We're still growing in excessive buyers here. And our targets, really, when you think about it, are not that significantly up above us. Good for trades, maybe not good for long-term hold. If you're looking for a long-term buy, this isn't the best. But 10% potentially up to the right for Solana is looking like a good deal. But again, I kind of spilled the beans a little earlier with my TA. When you come back over here, there's just not a whole heck of a lot above us. But in fact, when you come out here to the 1 monthly chart, well, we do have some nice yellow liquidity up here towards 110. You're seeing a picture get painted that it's the lower edge we're going for. In fact, let's go all the way to 6 month here. You're going to see heavy liquidity coming all the way down to levels we discussed. There's a video I made last week about look out for these price actions to happen. I talk significantly about the $49 to $52 region, that $50 region for Solana. Well, sure enough, guys, when you're looking at the liquidations chart over the last 6 months, you are seeing that is still a level of untapped liquidations we have not gotten down to. There are levels of support even lower than that, down towards 30, but to me, this was the most significant level of them all. When I come over here and I turn off all the noise and I just kind of take a look at the longer time frames like the daily chart, let's kind of zoom out here, take a look. What we have. This is the range. Remember 49. I said 53. I meant 52. I meant 53. This is the golden pocket of this big rally pulled back. This is a great target. Again, altcoins traditionally pull back 50 to 60% from these pre-halving cycles that run up to the upside. That would be, look at that, 60% to the downside, right on schedule with what we normally see. But we might just be seeing a little dead cat bounce first, where we get up maybe closer to 115, and then we pull back over. I don't make the rules. I'm just here to inform you of how these happen. It's so very common during pullbacks to have one more good dead cat bounce, fake out rally, make the retail believe that there's still more bullishness coming, and then the real negativity happens. Is there a chance it doesn't? Absolutely, there is. But what I'm seeing is I still think a 110 to 115 top for Solana could be coming our way. After that, do not be surprised, ladies and gentlemen, to be seeing Solana correct pretty heavily and start heading back down towards $50. Now, before I move on to AVAX and SUI, which are two other coins, T-Shroom, you had some smiles on your face. That means something's a cooking. You saw a funny comment. You saw something amusing. Let's take a quick break. I'm going to get a sip of water. What do you see?
Tim, somebody once told me that when you start a sentence, you don't always have to know where it's going, but just say it, and yeah, when they told me that, I said, that doesn't make any sense. Don't ever say that on a live show. So I wouldn't. Back to the charts.
I'm very lost as to the meaning of that, but okay, sounds good. I will obey, and we'll take a look at AVAX. Let's go ahead and start AVAX off with a little bit of the same. Remember, guys, I told you when I started this TA, you do TA on one altcoin. It's not going to be perfection when it comes to percentages, but you're going to have some consistency when it comes to price action. When I'm looking here at good old AVAX, let's come in down to the 4-hour chart. Let's turn on some of our indicators here. You will see something similar happen here around the $40 to $42 range. We have order blocks up here above 42. We have our take profit and our red reversal on the 4-hour chart coming in here as well. You're also going to see we're in a little bit of a rising trading channel. Now look at this on the 4-hour chart. Our Neo Cloud just turned blue, T-Shroom. And you guys know, if you've been using Lux Algo, red, we're in a bear trend. The minute it turns blue, it doesn't mean that we have to go to the upside. But consistently, there's not a lot of times where you see a small flash of a flip and then nothing serious happens. The fact that we just turned blue, to me, does kind of confirm that I do think that the top is not in for these altcoins during this little bull run. I think that this 40 to 42 range is kind of intriguing to me. Let's take a look at High Blocks Capital. Let's come down to the 7-day because I do think it's more than likely going to happen within a week or so. And take a look at AVAX. Come on, and let's take a look what we have going on here. So a lot of liquidations coming in closer to 38, but then we kind of run out of them all together here on 40. Let's take a look at the 1 month, see if it gets any spicier, because we did have price action over a month ago, a little higher than that. Yeah, you're kind of seeing that pocket right there on 40. There is some that come up to as high as 45. I do think if we went to 45, would that be a new high for this year? What do we peak out at? 49, 50, almost 50. All right, so that's kind of the high we had back over here. So that means I need to let's go 3 months here on liquidations. Nothing. I mean, there's just not a lot of excitement. The real excitement's happening down here below $20. So what I'm seeing again, 40 to 42. I still think AVAX is going to make a push up to there. But again, you come out here and you take a look down below us. Let's look at that $20 range and talk about it a little bit. What's that $20 range going to be sitting at? It's actually a little bit lower. Our golden pocket is coming in between 24 and 23. Our next range is between 21 and 19. I do believe I said, though, that I think in my AVAX video, I talked about this one, the 23, being the most significant one I'm looking at, even though we're seeing here liquidations. Let's go to 6 months, just like we went to with Solana. Yeah, it's still saying the heaviest liquidations are sitting there around $20. All right, well, you gotta work with the information you are given. It looks like this range, the range that we kind of were in back here in November before taking off, is the range that would make a lot of sense. What's that pullback looking like here? If we were to pull back to my golden pocket, we're looking at 53. There you go. Remember I said a lot of altcoins pull back 60%. 60% would be right below $20 for AVAX. So again, it's still the level I'm kind of looking at and saying, all right, that looks intriguing. Now I'll tell you guys, I'll be honest with you. Anytime you can buy a pullback to the golden pocket, that's a good buy opportunity. Unless you're in a full-blown bear market where you think the bottom is not in. I think we're all on the same page. I'm not. There's some stragglers probably out there, so maybe some of you guys think that we're going to be dropping and setting some new lows, going below $8 here on AVAX. But if you're like-minded, like me and T-Shroom, and we think that the bottom is in, we're just looking for possibly some small pullbacks. Golden Pocket is going to be a good friend of yours, but we are seeing liquidations potentially suggest $20 range could be very interesting. So do with that information what you will. That being said, though, if you want to stay positive, because today's a positive day, keep your eyes up here towards $40. $40 is where I think that if you're in a trade, I'm actually actively right now in a long trade. Let's go check out and see how that one's doing. I'm up $5. Okay,
there you go.
$5 over here. Not playing with a lot of money on that trade, but I have my take profit. I have a stop loss coming in down here towards 35, and I have my take profit sitting where? Right there at $40. So this is going to be a longer-term trade. That is where I'm going to be taking profit. That's where my eyes set up just a little bit above us. And then I think, guys, I think that we do see a potential drop in those prices, just a correction so the whales can gather what they actually want. And that is a $20 to $24 AVAX. Yeah. I'll take a quick break from that one, T-Shroom. We're going to go look at SUI. Anything to add in there, T-Shroom?
Yeah, Tim, I've got an overall thought because I've been covering
I love overall thoughts.
A little bit of TA on the 9 a.m. stream, and I've been seeing the following quite a bit, which is out on the weekly charts. On the MACD, there is a bear cross looming for Bitcoin, right? And now it hasn't crossed yet, as you can see here. Hasn't crossed yet. But it's not just Bitcoin. It's pretty much every other crypto has a potential for a bear cross coming. Ethereum, it's a little bit less crossy, a little more kind of paralleled, which is nice. But if you actually look over at it, so I can show 4 or 5 others that are similar to this. Matic also has a bear cross potential coming in, but it's much closer to the 0 line. But Chainlink, which kind of has been a front runner for me, has already crossed. That bear cross has already occurred. But we haven't seen a big pullback. So what do you think about that, Tim? Why do you think that why nobody's talking about those big bear crosses? Is that something that you're tracking at all?
Well, the first thing I'll say about weekly anything, you're looking at a long time for stuff to play out, right? So everyone assumes the minute you see something bearish, you should get bearish price action, or the minute you see something bullish, you should get bullish price action. That's not always how it works. Even if you're down at the 5-minute chart, you might see a bullish flash and price continues to fall a little bit. All that is communicating to you is compared to previous price action, we're a little bit overbought. But when it comes to those things, let's take a look here. We're going to go back to SUI here in just a second. T-Shroom, though, this is a good little thought here. MACD sitting up high. I want to bring something to your attention about the MACD as a whole. We're nowhere close to as high as what we could be.
Right.
Let's take a look here. Again, weekly chart. Let's go to a longer time frame with more information. Let me pull this down just so we can kind of focus on what the MACD is saying here. Let's go back here and look at previous cycles here and what we can see happen. Now, this one right here, we see the cross happen on MACD well after the pullbacks actually occurred, but it's definitely something that we continue to see bearish action fall afterwards. This is kind of lining up, I think, if we see that bear cross T-shirt with what I've been saying, that I do think that the bearishness it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a couple of weeks, but I don't think we've gotten through the worst of it. And that's just comparing back to 2019's little run right here. Again, big high for the bull market, same as in 2018. But then we have this kind of secondary big pullback that we're not as high as that one, but it is time to kind of keel back, come back down, maybe closer to the mid-level. The same thing, it looks really skinny here, but I got to spread it out and take a look at some highs back here. Let's take a look over here. At what happened. You're going to see, again, we pulled back, but the real bear cross did not happen until we'd already started this pullback. And this, of course, that was the top, so that's a lot more happening here. As a whole, though, I'm not necessarily too concerned, but I am looking at this to confirm my previous bias that we're not just moving upwards from here. I think that we're about to see a cross, and you're going to continue to see volatility, but I do think we're going to see some things happen. Just because we see a cross does not mean that day or week you're going to see a blue candle. It means we are still confirming that we've been bearish, because in reality, look at this. We started getting bearish the minute the blue line keeled over and started moving to the downside. That's when we started being bearish. The cross is more of just the signal everyone likes to identify as the confirmation, hey, this wasn't a small pullback. This is actually a bearish movement. That's what we're seeing happen here.
It's a good point.
Now, the last thing I'll say, and we're going to go back to SUI, guys, it is curling, right? So there's a potential that it's doing is not going to cross and it's just going to bounce. That, again, it's a weekly chart here, guys. Remember, this candle and this line will not finish its movement and direction until the end of the week. So let's wait. Let's wait till the end of the week before we try to freak out and decide exactly what this means on the weekly chart. But at the moment, that is confirming that the trend has been down since 49, and we're getting close to a cross, in my opinion. So good catch there, T-Shroom. Hopefully people picked up some useful information from that. Let's go to Binance. Let's go to SUI. Let's go to the 4-hour chart. Let's take a look at what's happening here. Now, SUI is different than the others in the sense that we actually just recently, within the last couple of days, hit the high for 2024 for sure. But this is a coin, it only existed, like it was made early in 2023. So we can't really compare it to price action of 2022 and 2021 and the whole last bull market. What I'll notice right off the top, though, is this is easily bearish divergence here on the 4-hour chart. I'm going to imagine it's going to be here slightly on the daily as well. Yeah, here's where I don't like it. Daily chart, while we did have a bullish reversal that kind of called this one perfectly, mixed with green momentum and the money flow being above the threshold, all things we love to see for bullish action. Look at this, T-Shirt. Money flow. After seeing a red dot come in, yes, we still have some bullish momentum. Red dot came in. Money flow is flowing to the downside. Once we see this oscillator keel over and give us a gray dot, that'll give me some good confirmation of bearish movement. Let's check in on the 4-hour chart, though, with some of these oscillators and turn some things up. We have recently been over 100% overbought here on SUI. We do have that gray momentum dot with the red reversal. Money flow, though, is kind of keeling sideways, so not necessarily seeing the confirmation we have to move to the downside. This is a harder one, I will say, to try to predict. Like the others, I can look at previous price action and tell you where I think the price is going to go to the upside. I wouldn't be surprised if SUI has a little more upside to go. Our best bet to get there with information, though, is really hard. I'm trying to even think of where I want to start this from, because a lot of times you can use Fibonacci extension to get there. Let's take a look here. Let's take a look from this angle right here. This is going to be hard, and I see out of the corner of my eye that we have a super chat, but I'm going to do this first, and then I'll read that super chat. We have already made a move up here above the 0.382, the 1.382, the 1.236. Let's keep an eye potentially if price goes to the upside, but I'm probably not trading this one. Let's keep an eye on the 1.618, 1.65 golden pocket at about $1.73. That from right here would be about, look at that, 11% move to the upside. Very similar to the move we kind of predicted with Solana and AVAX. So to me, that's about it for me. If I'm thinking how high can we get with our good old let's see, I got to put a line there. With our good old SUI, and let's just pretend for a second, ladies and gentlemen, that we can predict that will be the top. This is where it gets really fun, really nice and entertaining. Now we take the golden pocket. We come down to what is effectively the low back here in October. We move this over to our potential breakout. Come on now, chart, work with me here. Now we're talking about, remember I told you always keep an eye on that golden pocket? Well, look at this right here. I can even tell you before I pull this chart up, this is a heavy amount of liquidity and liquidations going on right down here. Let's go look at that fixed range volume in this time period. Let's see if this is going to be our point of control, or point of control is even lower. It is a nice little shelf for us, though. Golden pocket coming in down here towards 83. That also would be for a pullback for SUI, a nice little 50%. Where's 60? 60 is coming back down towards point of control all the way at 63 cents. So that's one I almost am leaning towards saying you can make the bullish argument the golden pocket's good enough and only do 50% because we have some momentum flowing on SUI. But you also make the argument, hey, what goes up, it needs to come down hard. And it would not be unreasonable to come all the way down to point of control back at 63 cents. Let's take a look here at the super chat from Matt C. Thank you so much, Matt C. He says, shout out to all the familiar faces we see here every day. We know who you are, and we truly appreciate it. Appreciate all the support. Thank you so much, Matt C. We appreciate you. You are one of my absolute favorites. In fact, he's saved in my phone as Matt C, aka best friend.
Very nice.
I don't remember why. I think he tried to make me feel bad about something, and and he forced me to call him my best friend, and that's called extortion. But we also love Matt because he gives us super chats and because he's a good guy. Look at this, guys. As we take a look at that prediction as well, the red reversal cloud kind of coming in that same area. Take a look. It's right there in the middle of the Lux Algo take profit. So we're seeing some further confirmation. It wasn't just the Fibonacci levels that made that level look enticing. Even Lux Algo's looking at this and saying, all right, that's an intriguing level up there. That's on the daily chart. Let's see if the 4-hour chart gives me this. Yeah, 4-hour chart's agreeing with it, though. So when I see agreement on the daily and 4-hour chart, that's some significance right there. We've recently pulled back down to the Neo Cloud. That's the bullish sign. I'm not here to guarantee or promise you. What I am saying is we're seeing some good confluence here at $1.73. But then we're also seeing some stuff talk about down here towards 63 cents or maybe here in the region of 72 cents. We got some order blocks down there on the 4-hour here as well. That's what we're seeing on our 3 altcoins. Like I said in the beginning, though, use those same tools, those same steps, the same processes that I just used on these 3 coins. Take those and go use them on your coin. But of course, if you don't have Lux Algo, it's going to be a big loss. Go buy it right now. Again, within the first couple of trades, you will pay off what you're spending on Lux Algo. And in the future, man, I'm telling you, if you're the type of person who wants to become a full-time trader and live off of your crypto knowledge and trading skills, it helps to have a cheater course like Lux Algo. It's just going to be there killing it for you in the trading game. Go sign up with the Investing Bros link today.
And we got a super awesome chat here from Drew P. I would be highly remiss if I didn't read this one. Drew P said, I encourage all you bros, he said guys, but he meant bros, to support these 2 fine men. Consider joining the channel, only a few dollars a month. I know my portfolio is 10 to 20% higher than it would have been without them. You got to love it. Come on. Thank you so much.
I love Drew P.
That is touching. You know, that is really nice. And
that's why we do it. That's literally, we almost walked away from the game, but there were some people that said, Tim, T-Shroom, please come back. Make your own channel. We love having you guys here. So we're like, you know what? We're going to do this for you guys. And Drew, very glad to hear it.
Yeah. I was going to start a toilet repair company, you know, and Tim hit me up. He said,
I'm very glad I talked you out of that because you're not good with toilets.
I'm terrible. I'm really crappy with toilets. We'll put it that way. So
it's poor, I would even say.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far, but yeah, Tim definitely he kind of talked me off the edge, and I I went ahead and we started the channel. We really appreciate it, guys. If you ever have anything nice to say and you're just thinking it in your head and you're like, I don't want to say that, it's going to come across as some kind of way. Say it. Whether it's to us or to other people in the chat. That is what the Bros is all about. Whether it's in the chat or on the Discord as well. Wait, the Investing Bros has a Discord? Yes, we do.
We do.
That's right. And I think that's
fun fact. We do.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. We've got about 7 minutes, 6.5 minutes left, Tim.
Yeah, let's get some Q&A. We had some earlier that I told everyone to go recomment again, but you know what I did, T-Shroom?
What'd you do?
I copy and pasted it. I copy and pasted some questions here.
Okay.
First one from Gustavo. Hi, Tim. Hey, T-Shroom and Tim.
Oh, that's right. He did ask a good question.
He did. He said, what is your take on the lack of movement for ADA and Caspa? That's a good question.
That is a great man.
2 channel favorites.
That's a good question.
That break your heart when they don't move. T-Shirt, what is your thought? What is your take on the lack of movement in Cardano and Caspa?
I think it has, like, they're 2 totally different narratives. I think for Cardano, I think it has a lot to do with kind of this mentality of like Solana and AVAX kind of stealing the spotlight of like these new high cap coins. And then also that Cardano doesn't market themselves very well, and they don't kind of publicize the very good partnerships that they do have, right? And so I think that's kind of the frustration with Cardano. But I'll tell you, I think Cardano is here to stay. It's going to be very, very well ingrained in crypto, and it's the most developed blockchain consistently by Santiment's report every single month, and then Polkadot is right behind it usually. So you know that's kind of the realm that Cardano's in. With Caspa, I don't know. It's a good question. I've got the chart pulled up here. I've got the weekly chart. I know Tim's going to yell at me. Get that weekly chart off of here. We never look
out of here.
But I think it has a lot to do with there was a lot of pump right? From YouTubers that and media all through here, right? Because folks were getting rewarded, right? They were buying it, it was going up, buying it, it was going up. Every dip seemed to be, and then you had this huge parabolic move for Caspa. I think right now, ultimately, if you look at the charts, I mean, Caspa on the weekly, it looks like it wants to come back and test this midline of the Bollinger Band, right? But I think it's going to let that midline come to it, and I don't think it's going to go much below 10. Now, what's bullish about Caspa is the same thing that was bullish about Bitcoin and is bullish about Bitcoin is that it has a firm line that it's not closing weekly candles below, right? For Caspa, it's 10.2, 10 cents 2. For Bitcoin, it's 41,200, right? So you can kind of see that similar here, 41,200. And the most recent candlesticks are actually not closing below 41.5, right? So, but back over on Caspa, from a psychological standpoint, I don't know. I think it's just because all of the kind of the crypto, natives, like folks who never left crypto that came along for the bull market, they started to understand. They started to understand what Caspa was all through here, right? So that's new liquidity coming in, bidding it higher. I think that has been exhausted. I think those buyers are exhausted. The next leg up for Caspa is going to be the same thing that's going to be the next leg up for a lot of other altcoins that have a ton of potential, right? But that's going to come with a bunch of new retail, right? And that retail wave has definitely not hit crypto yet. Institutions are too unfamiliar with Caspa, and I think it's the institutions that are buying up Solana and names like AVAX and not so much Cardano, right? That are pushing those names higher. SEI and SUI, those names as well. They're fetching a lot of attention from institutions, banks, family offices, whatever it is, big crypto whales as well. Whereas Caspa, I think it's been bought, and it has had a very big run up, and it was the number one bought coin last year, right? In 2023, it had the biggest gains. I think there might have been one other that did better, but that's kind of my analysis.
I think there was like one or two, but yeah, that's a great segue into what my answer was. Like, go to my screen here real quick. This is what it did in 2023. Caspa just did a measly 36x, while everything else was happy if it 10x'd at best.
Yeah,
Caspa just did a measly 36x. All right.
Yeah.
I'll actually talk about the other one, Cardano. Why we saw this happen in Cardano years ago during the bull market. Cardano exploded during the 2020 to 2021 bull market, right? Shot up and hit its high a couple months early before the rest of the space. Remember in 2021, most projects hit their highs in November to December of 2021. Cardano hit its high in September. It did it too early. It did it too fast. What goes up that fast has to come down. When we're talking about Caspa, we're talking about a great project that just is overextended in price action for now. Because price action, guys, when you're looking at this, price can explode very quickly. But the true value is going to be a slower process, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a much more gradual, this is the true value. And when you live so high above what, this is a fake line, but I hope that you get my point. When you live so far above what you really should be priced as, there's going to be moments and seasons of frustration. But in reality, it's more like they ran the race so well to start 2023 that they're just cooling off because smart investors know I like this project long term, but I can get it for cheaper down the road. I still have on my chart, by the way, guys, T-Shroom pointed this formation out here. If you go back to my screen after the bubbles, T-Shroom.
Yeah, really quick. This is the chart here. The bubbles. Injective did well. You can't see it, but Pendle actually was the only name that did better than Caspa last year, and that thing did freaking insane, 300 or 3,000% work. While Caspa would have been the first if it wasn't for Pendle.
Is that a year? That must be a year from today?
It is a year.
Caspa had a very explosive January because again,
absolutely.
What I did from the beginning of January, it went up 3,500. Anyway, take a look here, guys. I still have, and I made a video about this. Not a pre-record. I probably need to make a Caspa pre-record. I think I talked about this in a different live stream. This formation T-Shroom highlighted with a flat bottom right here around $9.40, $10 give or take, or 10 cents, excuse me. With a falling level of resistance is a falling triangle, a descending triangle, with a breakout prediction of where? All the way down here to a former resistance level around 6.2 8.3 cents. Well, guess what else that would be if we fell that far? When I used our tool over here, if it wants me to click it, there you go. What we're seeing here is a 60% pullback in price. That happens with altcoins. Now,
From the
moving
top.
moving to Cardano. Why is Cardano underperforming here? First of all, we're in a little bit of a bull flag pattern, so keep an eye on that. I still think we're going lower, but just keep your eyes on that pattern. The other thing is Cardano's had a nice little December, right? December actually Cardano turned some heads. But ultimately, yeah, when you compare it to the Solanas and the Chainlinks and the AVAX and the Matics and these other coins, no, Cardano didn't have a fantastic pre-halving like these other coins. Neither did Ethereum necessarily. But I want to remind you guys, it didn't do it back in 2019 either. Kind of a decent little rally here, but did not outpace Bitcoin, did not outpace Ethereum. There weren't as many altcoins back then, but as a whole, Cardano was one of the underperformers of the pre-halving of 2019. Then you even go to the COVID dip where Bitcoin didn't set a new low with COVID. I think Ethereum barely set a new low with COVID. Let's take a look here. I just want to fact check myself. No, actually, Ethereum didn't set a new low. Sorry. So I'll definitely fact check myself. Ethereum didn't even go as low during COVID. Look what Cardano did. Cardano was so terrible at the time, price-wise. It went crazy low. It actually went a nice 27% lower during the COVID dip than its bear market bottom back in December of 2018. Why am I saying this? Because Cardano is a different project. And I predicted this type of price action would happen where in an institutional bull run, Cardano will start slow, right? What we just saw play out through October to December, I think we're going to see a mimic happen in the bull market where Solana and Chainlink, these massive institutional coins, get all this institutional money, and in October, November, they exploded, right? And not that they had bad Decembers either, but look at this. Chainlink in December, boring. Solana in December still had a nice little rally. That's just how explosive Solana is. Let's not try to compare too much to Solana. My point is, Cardano waited 2 months to get its explosive price action. It had something decent in October, but nowhere near the same as Solana and Chainlink. Kind of got boring in November when other coins were moving to the upside, and then had its most explosive movement where it led the markets in December. What does that tell me? The institutions that, like the Solanas and Chainlinks of the world, pumped the institutional coins. Then profit was taken from those to move into the real decentralized crypto, which is Cardano, the coin of the people, and it had a later pump. Do not be surprised in this bull market if we see the likes of Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana and Chainlink and Matic and AVAX and institutional-friendly coins take off and Cardano be disappointing. I will not be surprised to see Cardano fall out of the top 10 for a couple of months even. But wait till the profits start getting taken from all of these massive rallies. We always have these mid-bull market pauses and pullbacks of upwards of 20 to 30%. Watch the profit flow and people educate themselves and learn about the true decentralization and future of cryptocurrency with decentralization in Cardano, and the money flows into Cardano. And I'm not predicting and expecting the same level of explosiveness. Like Cardano was the most explosive altcoin of the 2021 cycle. I'm not predicting that same thing to happen. But I am predicting it still to do some amazing runs, like getting up above $8 to $10, and it's still having a later rally than the rest of the altcoin space because all the profits will flow into it. And unlike last time, where in 2021 we topped early, I'm expecting, and I'm not going to be surprised if Cardano's a late topper, a late bloomer. So like when you're taking maybe some of your profits on Bitcoin, Chainlink, Solana, you might want to flow them over into Cardano for a little bit, just for a month or two, because I think there's going to be a little bit of a delay here, and Cardano's going to be late. Then it'll top out. You take your profits there as well, and we'll have a normal bull market. I don't think it's going to be severe. Again, this probably be the least severe, especially for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Least severe bear market we've ever had. Altcoins, depending on what altcoin it is, probably 50 to 60% pullbacks. Maybe a couple do 70, but I'd be if a coin in this next bear market does a 90% pullback, T-Shroom, that's probably a coin that is on its way to being gone.
Yeah. Well, that is going to bring us to 4:05, Tim. So you want to lead us out?
Yeah, guys, that has been a fun show. Covered a lot of ground here. If you enjoyed this episode of the Investing Bros, smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button as well. We are close to that 8,000 subscriber mark. We cannot do it without you guys, though. Thank you to each and every single last one of you who are here. We will see you tomorrow, the same time, the same place. You guys have a fantastic day.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shouted out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.